I haven't been following anything but this hockey story with the Chicago Blackhawks.
Dude, that's so wild.
It's insane. So much more. So to lay the stage for people. So basically 2009 to 2010, that season, the Chicago Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup. For the first time in so many goddamn years, like they were known as a joke of a franchise. They weren't even on TV in the late 90s, early 2000s because their owner didn't want to pay some fee. And during that run, there was a video coach for the Chicago Blackhawks, and there was a black ace brought up to the team, which is like a minor league player who gets to come up and at least practice. He didn't play in the series, but he practiced with the team. And during that run, I think like after the Western Conference Finals, so before the Stanley Cup series, this video coach coaxed this young 20-year-old player up into his apartment and then started like forcing the guy to watch pornography with him. And he kept he said he tried to kept reaching on and grabbing him and reaching his hand and grabbing his junk. And eventually the coach, and while he's doing this, the coach has a novelty, one of those little baseball bats you can get at a Yankees game or a Cardinals game. And he's saying you will, you're going to let me suck your dick or you will never play in the NHL. You'll never be in the NHL again. And so, and this kid,
I thought Hunter Biden was cool. This guy's
this guy's an absolute ghoul and a demon of a person. He what made this it's already fucked up, and I'll get to it in a bit.
It's
so he coerces and sexually assaults this guy under the guise of you'll never play in this league unless you do this. And then the guy brings it to the attention of some of the front office for the Chicago Blackhawks. And they apparently had a meeting, the GM, the assistant GM, Joel Quenneville, the coach, a couple other guys, the head of the NHL Players Association knew about it. And they all had a talk. And apparently the vibe at that talk was well, the Blackhawks are about to be in the Stanley Cup. we can't. This will throw off the team vibe and the team energy. We don't want to bring any attention to it. And it was obvious all this shit happened because as soon as that season was over, video coach on a Stanley Cup winning team, you tend to keep people around to do that. Immediately, apparently the Hawks higher up brass was all right, Brad Aldrich, the rapist, was you can either submit to an investigation or you can resign. And he resigns. And this whole time, what's his name? Kyle Beach, the guy who had this done to him, he came out on ESPN last night and gave a half-hour interview about all this. This whole time, this guy Kyle Beach is being buried in the minors. They're not bringing him up. And I didn't think anything of that until I did more research. There are 100 articles from 2010 to now being Kyle Beach, 11th overall in the first round. Is he the biggest bust of all time in Chicago picks? And it's no, he got molested by a fucking coach and then they buried him and kept him away from stuff. And so I think he has a case of yeah, you guys fucking ruined my career. He's a big guy who had a physical presence on the ice. He would have been a good NHL player. A lot of people speculate, but after that guy, that guy, Brad Aldrich, who left, who did the molesting, he got I think it was more of a boilerplate letter of recommendation from the Blackhawks organization. And then he went and worked with 16-year-olds and molested a 16-year-old.
Jeez.
And that's all following this. And this whole time, for years and years and years, the Blackhawks, making it
hard to make jokes now.
Yeah, it's a wild story. And the Blackhawks for years and years are denying this and saying this guy Kyle Beach, he's a liar. This is nonsense. He's just bitter because he didn't crack the lineup. He's just bitter about it. And now there's a huge investigation by an independent firm that made a 107-page document laying out all of this. I've only read excerpts because it's really dense. And everything this guy was claiming is true. A lot of coaches are getting caught in lies. GMs are getting caught in lies where they're I didn't hear about this at all until this past July. And then it's okay, well, here are records that you guys had held a specific meeting about this where you said it's not worth bringing up right now because, the team's doing so well. And we don't want to throw a wrench in that. So it's pretty ridiculous in that way. A couple of the players on the Blackhawks from 2010 who are no longer in the league came out and they're oh, yeah, everybody knew about this. Everybody knew. There were jokes being made about it in the locker room, in making fun of him and stuff, calling him gay.
Only one that got his dick sucked?
Jesus.
Well, apparently, I'm sure that the other people were doing it, but this guy Aldrich he did it to this guy and he did it to a 16-year-old, and the guy Kyle Beach apparently only like started hitting back more once he heard about that 16-year-old getting molested and being like, and it's like a fucking heartbreaking interview on ESPN. He's like crying at times. He's like I was like I would go and I'd talk to someone and like, you know, they're the GM or they outrank me, and I went to he went to a doc, one of the docs for the team, and he's like, and I even went to doc whoever, and he told me it was my fault for putting myself in that position, and so I felt like I was wrong for going. I felt like I was wrong for going to his apartment. Right. And he's like, "Oh, it destroyed my career. I turned to drugs. I turned to alcohol. I was never like that before." Like this guy, 11. Like I'm sure you know, going 11th overall in a draft is fucking, you're going to have a career at least somewhere in the NHL. They're not going to bury you in the minors. So like now, Joel Quenneville, who was the coach of the Blackhawks at the time, he's currently the coach of the Florida Panthers, and so. I don't know if he's going to resign. I don't know if the NHL can even fire him for something he did in another organization.
Are undefeated right now.
They're 7-0.
I don't want to ruin the team chemistry by firing the coach.
Also, though, the Panthers have been hot shit under him in previous years, and the Panthers lineup this year is fucking outrageously good. So even if they replace him, they're still going to be a dominating team. So like, I don't really buy that. And this guy Chevy, I don't know his full name, but he was the assistant GM at the time. Now he's the big GM of the Winnipeg Jets, and they're calling for him to step down. But there's like a bunch of, I was watching YouTube videos about it. There's like a bunch of like legalese of like you can't fire someone who's working for a different organization now or something like that.
The fuck?
Like I don't know. But Gary Bettman, the commissioner of the NHL, is met with Joel Quenneville today to discuss stuff, but I still haven't seen news that he's fired or anything. But like,
it's criminal charges,
right?
I don't know why there aren't any criminal charges. There, no idea.
How long ago was it?
2010.
11 years. I wonder if it's too long.
He's 20 at the time. He's 31 now.
Yeah, it sounds like I don't know what crime that would be when you like force someone to let you suck their dick while holding a rally bat.
But he also ejaculated on the player. Like he came on Kyle Beach, the player.
Okay, so both of them ejaculated.
Was it a lot?
Does he need any help?
Believe it or not,
I've heard some of a product.
Believe it or not, that was not elucidated in the report.
Okay.
From now on, we need to look for any semen-related news stories every week, and just every time segue right in.
Let's find a positive one. Like, man with huge load saves dogs.
Wow.
I don't know how that would work, but preferably not something with sexual assault.
I imagine this dog being stuck at the bottom of a tunnel, and he just fills up the tunnel until the dog can swim free.
Yeah, that's possible. With lock and load, nothing's impossible.
This sounds like an easy defense of like it was consensual, it was whatever. It's hard to kind of prove. The guy goes up to the apartment.
It is a little sketch because he's asked for help, and with all the doctors and other coaches and GMs, and they all kind of turned him away.
Yeah. Like, and he went to the head of the NHL Player Association, which is supposed to those are the people like negotiating on your behalf for better contracts, for more time off. Like their entire job is to defend players. And this guy assured Kyle Beach we're going to look into this. There's going to be a full investigation. And then he lied about it, never did anything, never moved forward with it. And so it's all crumbling down right now around the Blackhawks organization. And they only got fined $2 million so far for it. The New Jersey Devils got fined $3 million for cap circumvention.
What was the fine for? What did they actually call it?
I don't even know. I don't know.
Yeah. Do they get fined for the blowjob or for when he came on the minor league player?
Right.
I think it's for lying about it and covering it up actively or something like that. And so they're having talks. I don't know what's going to come of it, but it's wild. This guy, Coach Quenneville, was first ballot Hall of Fame coach. Well respected. Everybody, everyone who was a fan of any team, was I wish Coach Q was coaching our team. He turned that Blackhawks organization into a dynasty. 3 cups in 6 years. That's what nobody's done that in the modern era. And now it's should Should we stamp his name off the cup? Should we make him ineligible for the Hall of Fame because he was covering up sex stuff?
Yeah, that's what is it Paterno for the Penn
Yeah,
State?
yeah.
He didn't do it. He just knew about it and covered it. It's a very
I was about to bring him
same
up.
situation. Yeah, or a very similar situation. It seems like this NHL one has a lot more tendrils than the Paterno one, but
it was there's a similar sort of like everybody knew and everybody just kind of looked the other way.
Yeah.
But what was the player's name? Kyle Beach. Kyle Beach really has it's seemingly the paper trail, like talking to the Players Association, the doctors, the GM. I don't know who I left out, but man, like he did everything he could to seek help.
Yeah,
they'll probably offer him an NDA and a giant settlement, and that'll be that.
But it better be really giant because it seems like he might have had like a $75 million playing.
Right. It would have to be pretty big. Yeah,
they'd have to be like, I don't even know what they would do. Like, okay, well now the Chicago organization has to pay him $10 million a year for the next 10 years or 6 years,
something like that.
For like lost revenue because like
life-changing money.
Like when I first heard about the story, I thought it was like some 7th rounder picked 280th overall. Like, no, 11th overall. And this guy, like, even worse, like hearing him talk about like how miserable he's been. Like, you know that like for years he had to answer questions like, wow, you were part of the Blackhawks organization? That's so cool. That's so awesome. He's like, it's really great. And he's talking about how his whole life is derailed. Like nothing has gone the way it was supposed to. Like he was a legit talent. And to see article after article being written of like biggest Chicago busts in all history. And it's like, number 1, Kyle
Is this
Beach.
Another Lock and Load reference with that Biggie bust?
different context. But
he walks around the streets, he sees somebody with a Blackhawks jersey, he just starts jerking off on him. Fuck you. Fuck the team.
That's my plan, to say fuck you to the it doesn't help that I'm a fan of the St. Louis Blues, and so like all the punishments that come down on the Chicago Blackhawks, I'm like, it should be harsher even. They should have to give us their good players. As punishment, Patrick Kane has to play for St. Louis for free.
And their next 2 draft picks.
Yeah, the next 2 draft picks. And like, I'm curious what sort of punishment they're going to mete out for this. It's interesting to watch. I hope it doesn't just get swept under and that he still is allowed to do all this shit. Like the head of the GM for Chicago already stepped down. They're expecting the GM of Winnipeg to maybe step down, but Coach Q has no plans to step down. Clearly, he coached a game last night during this interview. He was it was outrageous. He was behind the bench on the Florida Panthers being like, power play 2 up. Like,
what if they had him in a live bubble during the interview? Like him coaching, like in a little bubble during the interview in the corner.
Yeah. And the guy even addressed him. Like the interviewer did a tremendous job. And he's like, what would you say to, someone like Coach Quinville, who said he had no knowledge of this? And like Kyle very like vehemently was like, that's a lie. I know for a fact every single person knew about that. Sopel and Boyner, or whatever the 2 players were who came forward with their names. He's like, I don't have their phone numbers. I don't know them. They were like on like the real Blackhawk squad. Beach at the time, very young, on the minor league, the Rockford Ice Hogs, whatever their team is. Like, so there's no reason for those guys to speak up at all. Like they're not friends. They don't know each other, but they both just came out. Their career's over. They don't work in the NHL. So they truly are no skin in the game. They're like, oh yeah, that's totally true. I remember that. People were making jokes. So it's wild to see. And the captain of the Chicago Blackhawks came out and like gave such a tone deaf response where like he couldn't have done a worse job. Like he was like, things could have been handled differently. It was a really unfortunate thing and it probably could have been handled differently. Stan Bowman, the GM of our team, is a great man and he's helped my career a huge amount.
Bowman?
He is. Yeah.
Where's the rapey guy now?
Now he is. I think he is
teaching children to play hockey.
Well, I think he went to prison for like a little under a year, and is like on, or maybe he's off probation now. He did go to jail for molesting that 16-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So this guy's a real piece of shit. But anyway, it's a really interesting sports story. You never expect this kind of thing to come up, and so I've been following it constantly. kind of a downer. Sorry.
I don't know.
Downer story. And like one of the John
I had so many like cum references in there.
Yeah, right.
I could barely
whole
let
bag.
Need Out past.
Like and it's funny like seeing like the really respected people, quote unquote, like staying quiet. And then there's a coach who doesn't have a job right now named John Tortorella, who's known for being a fucking maniac. He's one of the guys, he tried to fight the entire Calgary Flames team during an intermission because he didn't like one of their hits on his players. So he like ran. You're not allowed to go to the other team's locker room, but there's video of him like, you fucking assholes. He's trying to break into another professional team. And even this guy, he's like giving an interview and he's like, it's just fucking gutless. Like nobody did anything. Like really? Yeah, it's
like
just disgusting. Yeah.
I like gutless. Is it like not one person had the morality to stop this, to say, you
It's
know,
insane.
hey guys, shouldn't we do the right thing? No one thought that. They all thought, let's get W's.
Ooh, let's get the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
I mean,